So you think you can beat me by outlawing my thoughts with your rogue politicians and the judges you bought? So you think you can mold me like I'm made out of clay? Oh, you want me to answer? Just got this to say. Take a look into this warrior's eyes. Tell me what you see. Take a look into this warrior's eyes. Oh, that still beats me.
Good evening, I'm Paul Fromm. I'm the Midnight Man on Stormfront Radio every night at midnight Eastern Time, www.stormfront.org, with my program For Our People. That's news and commentary of interest to the European and founding settler people of Canada and the United States. Well, on Saturday, November the 10th, a really good friend of mine, Bernard KLATT, received the very prestigious George Orwell Free Speech Award from Doug Christie's Canadian Free Speech League at a dinner and ceremony in Victoria, British Columbia. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Bernard, and I'd also like to tell you a little bit about the award. You know, as Louis Beam said some years ago, we have got to create our own institutions. We have to create an approach of leaderless resistance. And part of what we're doing is creating an entirely parallel and alternative series of structures. None of us is ever going to win the Order of Canada. We aren't a member of some privileged minority. We haven't given a big donation to the right groups or the right political party. But you know, people like Bernard KLATT have done far more for the people of this Dominion than most of the people who've ever had an Order of Canada slapped on their chest. Bernard KLATT is a techie. He's a man who's had a number of businesses. His area is computers. He has an experience going back over 30 years. He has at one point been an ISP or Internet Service Provider, and computers are his business. Bernard, though, is a passionate believer in freedom of speech, and when he still had his ISP business, he provided access to a number of groups that the politically correct did not like, and particularly the relentless Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Center. In fact, they pressured him, and he simply said in his very quiet, non-obtrusive way that no, he was not prepared to censor groups. Well, they said they're bad, they're this and that and everything else, and he said, no, I'm not going to censor them. So, of course, they ratcheted up the attack on Bernard, and they said that the small town in the South Okanagan where he lived was now the hate capital of Canada. So in 1998, a number of free speech supporters, including the late Doug Collins, 11 escapes from German POW camps, a man who is a real passionate believer in free speech, a great journalist. He and I and a number of others, Mark Lemire, traveled to Oliver, British Columbia, to support Bernard, to try to explain to the folks there what this battle was all about. Well, we rented a little bit of space we rented a room in the municipal center, and at the last minute, of course, as often happens, the space was canceled on us. Well, we weren't going to be deterred because our motto is no surrender. So we decided we would meet in front of the cenotaph, that monument to those soldiers who'd gone off to war thinking that they were fighting for freedom. Well, whatever they thought they were fighting for, it's being taken away from us in Canada today. So we had our rally, and we stood up for Bernard. Some years later, though, he lost his ISP business because essentially the big boys put pressure on the provider of internet services above him, and he was no longer able to continue. But he continues to support free speech. He has testified in a number of cases as an expert witness. He's been recognized as an expert in the Ernst Zundel Internet case. He's been recognized in the Ernst Zundel National Security case. He's been recognized in the Glenn Barr case, in the WWBC White Pride case, in the Mark Lemire case. He's been a witness of fact in the John Mishka case. Bernard has been a selfless supporter of free speech. Now, when he goes to these hearings, you know, he's not like government witnesses who get $20,000 for doing their expert report plus travel expenses plus. All Bernard has ever gotten, and not in all cases, has been his travel expenses. He has given unstintingly and freely of his expertise and time. And of course, every time he does this, he becomes a target of the politically correct. And unlike people who maybe live in big cities and are somewhat anonymous, he lives in a small town of 5,000. He has often been subject to pressure from his religious group, pressure from townspeople. The mayor of his town at one point basically begged the authorities to charge him with something. Even they even created, so they even set up a petition trying to get the government to charge him. So he has put up with something that a lot of people would find intolerable, and that's pressure, social pressure, pressure in their own community, the personal vilification and ostracism. And he remains dedicated to the cause of free speech, always ready to come out to offer his assistance wherever necessary. You know, when I look at the collection of establishment phonies who get these Order of Canada medals slapped on their chest, it makes me vomit. Not everyone, of course. There have been some decent Canadians who made contributions, but I see a lot of people who simply paid off or whatever the right people. People like Bernard Klatt will never be recognized as long as the current order exists. But when the history of this country is written, and if we do succeed in maintaining freedom for the European founding settler people of this country, people like Bernard Klatt will rank as heroes. And when I see some of the nobodies and losers after whom for whom they dedicate stamps, you know, I have nothing against some of the entertainers that were the subjects of a recent series of stamps put out by Canada Post. You know, I'm not knocking these people, but when I look at people who have really contributed to this country, I think of a man like Bernard Klatt, who has stood tall for no recompense, for nothing, no other reason than because it is right. Not because it's going to put money in his hand. It's going to take money out of his pocket, actually. It's brought him the attention of CSIS. That was a great little story. Some CSIS operatives came down the country road leading to the orchard land where he lives. And you know what he did? He did something that may be a lesson to everybody. He put a camera on them. and like the old movies of Dracula, when he put up the Christian cross, they fled. They didn't want to be on. They didn't want to be on candid camera. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And why would you send snoops after a gentle Christian gentleman who's never broken the law in this country, who stands up for values that supposedly are part of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, freedom of speech, a really great Canadian, a really great Christian, and boy, if anybody ever deserved to win the George Orwell Free Speech Award given by Doug Christie's Canadian Free Speech Society, it was Bernard Klatt. So hats off and all congratulations to Bernard Klatt. This is Paul Fromm. I'm the Midnight Man every night on Stormfront Radio, www.stormfront.org, midnight Eastern Time, with my program For Our People, and that's a program of news and commentary of interest to the European founding settler people of this great continent.
Still be free, take a look into